Good day. I'm Tina Evans, and welcome to This Week in Government. We are so excited today to have with us the Minister of Economy and Labor, the Honorable Jason Hayward. Hello, Minister Hayward. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. We're delighted to have you here. We're talking just recently in the House of Assembly. You laid a paper and you did a ministerial statement on the consultation on retaining the local workforce position paper 2024. So let's get right into it.
Yes.
Tell me, what does it mean? Well, first of all, this is out there. I should tell people you can actually read this paper on forum.gov.bm and also comment on it as well. But tell me, why are we here in 2024 looking at how to retain local workforce? Why are we here? What brought us here?
It's a good question. Recently, we released a position paper on the challenges that we will experience with an aging population. Those challenges mean that we're going to have cost of living challenges, challenges with funding our healthcare system, our pension system, but also challenges as it pertains to our labor force. And so this paper seeks to address some of those challenges and those considerations that were put out in that initial policy paper as to how we can address the challenges of our working population. You would note that we have a desire to increase our working population to satisfy our early age dependency ratio. In order for us to do that, we need robust economic activity throughout the majority of the industrial sections within Bermuda, which will create additional jobs, and then we can fill those jobs with able-bodied Bermudians, and then where able-bodied Bermudians are unable to fill those jobs, then guest workers can fill those jobs.
Right. So the policy itself, it does that. It talks about aging, talks about immigration, people leaving the island, and it also talks about changing of the PRC regulations. But let's go first to the aging. Aging demographic, aren't we working longer? I say we, we're gonna put it there. We're working longer, we're staying in the workforce longer. So why is that?
So there's certainly evidence that individuals are desirous to stay in the workforce longer and are actually staying in the workforce longer. The public service has moved its retirement age up to age 68. And then there are some proposals which will seek to see how we can expand that as best as we possibly can, and that's for social insurance and pension considerations. But we do have a challenge as it pertains to our workforce aging, and a large portion of the baby boomers who will be exiting the workforce in the next 10 years. That's going to create acute shortages of labor to supply the jobs needed to have a sustainable economy. And as a result, we have to address the matter head on. And so this paper specifically addresses those considerations as pertains to how we can retain our workforce. In order to grow our workforce, we need to first have retention strategies. And this paper seeks to have retention strategies. First, ensuring that able and qualified Bermudians are exposed to opportunities in our workforce. And then number two, we have persons who are currently working who are desirous to remain longer, but are asked to retire at age 65 when they're still capable and of contributing to the workforce. And so we have a policy in the paper which speaks to how we can encourage employers to retain employees after the age of 65 by reducing their payroll tax obligation on the
65 and older.
Correct.
I saw that. So that's one of the, we can't call them recommendations. What is it, a recommendation?
It's actually a proposal or
It's
a recommendation.
proposal.
Both is acceptable.
Okay. And I saw that and I said, wow, that's interesting. That's an incentive for an employer to say to someone who's reaches 65 to say, no, stay on if they're going to get a reduction in their payroll tax.
Most definitely. I was on a committee that actually looked at the revising of the retirement age, and we agreed, it was a consensus in the committee, that Bermuda needs to progress its retirement age based off of the willingness and ability to retain persons over the age of 65. unfortunately, most persons sign off at the age of 65 when they sign their employment contracts.
Right, okay.
So we don't have an official retirement age in law, but based off employment contracts, people sign off at age 65. For certain occupational categories, you have to look at a year-to-year basis, but for other occupational categories, persons can work well beyond the age of 65.
So, Minister, as we're looking at this, the aging population, but this policy also talks about the position paper, I should say, also talks about guest workers and getting more guest workers. And as you said in the paper, it says the bedrock of our economy is having Bermudians and guest workers here. But there's always that the concern of how do we retain the Bermudian worker? Yes, we have to have guest workers, but how do we ensure that Bermudians are getting the jobs?
Yes. And so what we want to do is ensure that able-bodied Bermudians take advantage of opportunities that work within our labor market. There will always be more jobs in Bermuda than able-bodied Bermudians. As a result, there is no shortage of opportunity. We have to determine how we better position Bermudians to take advantage of opportunities, but then also how do we close some of the inequity gaps that exist in the workplace that prevent Bermudians from progressing in our occupational category as well. And so what the paper seeks to do is the paper seeks to realize that we have young Bermudians who go away to school. We want those young Bermudians to return and contribute to our economy. Where there is difficulty and barriers with those young individuals finding employment, we want to execute our youth employment strategy, which helps to create a bridge between those young persons and opportunities that exist in the world of work. And then we have another category of Bermudians who feel as though they're already squeezed out and they desire to live elsewhere. We need to find strategies to bring those persons back, and we are going to engage in a full consultation process to really understand what are the drivers to push somebody off this island to think that the grass is greener over the other side, and how we can get those persons come back and contribute to our workforce. The other thing is that the paper speaks about expanding workplace protections. And so ensuring that we have a sound and robust work permit policy that actually protects Bermudians, ensuring that we expand some of our labor laws to strengthen the rights of Bermudian workers in the workplace as well.
So, okay, two categories. You brought it, two groups of folks. Students coming back and not being able to get a job. And then also people emigrating. And I heard you in the House say that there was a study done or a survey done. Is the ministry embarking on doing something, a survey to see why people are emigrating?
Yes, we're going to do a full consultation process. It's going to contain us trying to really identify what are the factors that contribute to the decision making for persons to leave, and then what are some of the considerations or policies that we can put in place that would entice persons to return back home as well. But we can provide solutions if we haven't clearly identified the problem. And so we do have a lot of information as it pertains to some reasons, but we want to have sound data so that the policies that we put in place actually are in alignment with the actual challenges that people are experiencing. This means that we're going to do domestic consultation, but also overseas consultation with persons who have left, even if it means that we go over to UK and engage with some of the residents in the UK on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, people, where it's so anecdotal, my cousin went, and my cousin's there, and so forth, and we don't know the actual facts, as you said, as to why. Generally, people will say, well, I can't get a job, or I can't get housing. What do you say to that for the person that is even thinking about it right now? Do I leave Bermuda now? Is there something coming down the line? And how long is all of this going to take?
So when one says I can't get a job or I can't find housing, then this is where the government's response has to be, well, what can we do to assist you to find a job? how can we ensure that there is adequate stock of affordable housing in Bermuda, so that is no longer a challenge. And so the paper kind of transcends the Ministry of Economy and Labor, and we as a government also have to sit down collectively and understand how we can put together a suite of solutions that will ensure the quality of life for Bermudians are maintained in this country.
All right, we'll come back in just a minute. We'll be back to speak more with the Minister of Economy and Labor, the Honorable Jason Hayward.
It's that time once again. The annual agricultural exhibition is back on April 18th, 19th, and 20th at the beautiful Botanical Gardens in Paget. Organized by the Department of Parks, the exhibition, or the Ag Show as we locals now call it, is sure to bring excitement, flair, and spectacle for the entire family to come out and enjoy. Patrons can expect to see school exhibitions, floral displays, animal exhibits, and equestrian events. Food stalls run by charities and some of your favorite vendors, and fun activities for children will ensure that everyone is fed and entertained. And of course, the Ag Show will have its traditional display of animals, horses, pigs, rabbits, and much more. Bermuda's culture will shine on April 18th, 19th, and 20th at the Botanical Gardens. Everyone is invited. Log on to www.gov.bm/AG show for more information or to submit an electronic entry form.
And we're back. We're back with the Minister of Economy and Labor, the Honorable Jason Hayward. All right. So in the House, when you made the statement, and also now the policy is available online. It's not a policy. It's, what do I keep calling it? A policy? Paper. A position paper with still recommendations. The conversation immediately from both sides of from the other side of the House was immediately about pathways to status. With the granting, this position paper is talking about reducing the PRC eligibility. So, is this the pathway to status?
Certainly not. And this government doesn't have a mandate to provide or expand provisions for status. This is us recognizing that there is going to be a constant need for guest workers within our society, and understanding that we live in a global economy. And as a result of that, the competition for jobs is tough across the board. And with the corporate income tax coming in place and leveling out some of the tax benefits that companies will receive, we need to ensure that there are additional benefits that make companies want to remain here, but also assist them with getting the talent that they require and having some level of sustainability in the acquisition of that talent. And so because we recognize that in order for us to increase our working population, we need to have retention strategies. One of the retention strategies is lowering the requirements for permanent residency. When we looked at studies across the board, Bermuda was extremely conservative in the way in which it issued permanent residency compared to the majority of countries in the world. And we were outliers at having our permanent residency set at 20 years, and the majority of countries have time periods between 5 and 10 years. And so this is why we're seeking to reduce the eligibility requirements to 10 years for persons who make over $83,000. And I'm going to say why $83,000 annually, and that is because it's just over the median income for non-Bermudians.
Oh, non-Bermudians,
yes.
83.
And
okay.
so you can actually control the numbers by having an understanding of the income, putting income requirements in place. The other thing that we are ensuring that we're doing is ensuring that this policy doesn't erode entry-level jobs within our economy.
Right. Okay.
And so by putting that salary requirement, it means that we're still leaving open entry-level jobs for Bermudians to continuously begin and progress through the world of work.
Right, that's important for the students coming in.
Most definitely.
Right, yeah, coming back home. Go ahead.
The second consideration is there are a number of job categories that are difficult to fill now, whether it be registered nurses, whether it be actuaries, whether it be accountants. And so there is a consideration on whether or not we reduce the eligibility for permanent residencies for 5 years for those occupational categories. And that's important because we do have acute labor shortages in those areas now. And as a result of our aging population and the demographic shifts that are happening in the rest of the world, the competition to lend that qualified and skilled labor is going to become even greater. And so we are also trying to compete with the rest of the world.
Absolutely. So PRC, what's a job maker? A term in there. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so job makers is for those companies who hire over 10 Bermudians, they're allowed to get job maker status. And a job maker is for senior level positions within that particular company, so that there is some level of stability at the top of those companies. And those persons are able to apply for permanent residency currently at 10 years. And we want to shift that so that it's 5 years.
It's for 5 years.
Yes.
Okay. 10 years at 83,000. So
Correct.
PRC, and 5 years for the
job makers and specific occupational categories.
Right. With the PR, does this now put us in line with, everyone compares us to Cayman. Does this put us in line with other jurisdictions, smaller jurisdictions?
Certainly it moves us closer to other jurisdictions, but for those key occupational categories and for job makers, it certainly puts us in line with.
Okay. My concern is, yes, I agree. We all know we need guest workers. We need more people here to fill positions that we don't have folks to fill. What the knock-on effect I'm worried about is, what about housing then and other things that go along with it? Will this squeeze more Bermudians out of the housing market? Or?
Not necessarily, because who we're giving permanent residency to are people that are already currently living here. And so when you talk about expanding the workforce, yes, there is a housing consideration, and this is why we're changing some of our housing policies so that we can have more residential units in the city of Hamilton and in the economic empowerment zones, so that more persons are living and working in the city, so that it frees up capacity throughout the rest of the island. But we're trying to support development as best as we possibly can. We have a program now where we're going to assist people with renovating their properties with Bermuda Housing Corporation, and then Bermuda Housing Corporation will also invest in its properties to expand the number of public affordable housing inventory throughout the island.
Throughout the island, yes. Of course, I've heard Minister Birch talk about increasing affordable housing. That's why one of the questions, of course, you Bermudians say, well, you get more people here, there's nowhere to live, and so forth. So therein lies the question. What else can we expect in terms of giving more eligibility status? You said something about this is currently for people that are here now. It's not for people coming in onto the island?
Well, in order to qualify, you would have to be resident in Bermuda for a number of years first before you're actually eligible to take advantage of these benefits. And so it is for the current population. But as we grow our working population and more guest workers come in, then more persons will be eligible to take advantage of the policy when they reach those particular milestones in their working career. But I think an important thing you said in terms of understanding the impact it's going to have on housing, we also have to appreciate and understand the impact if we do nothing, and the impact that it's going to have on our cost of living. Right now, we have challenges with containing healthcare costs, and because our population is aging, it means our healthcare cost is going to increase with less able-bodied payers paying into the system to support those older persons in our workforce. The same challenge we're going to have with our pensions. We're going to have a lot of persons transitioning into pensions with a with a smaller workforce, it's going to create more challenges on our pension situation. Bermudians complain about the cost of living, but the cost of living cannot abate without having a robust workforce. And as a result of that, we are going to face grave and serious economic challenges if we do not expand our workforce, and a key part of that is going back to retention. Now, what I do appreciate is that Bermudians say, and who's looking out for my best interests?
Yes, you know it.
And so this is why the paper moves to ensuring that we expand provisions in the work permit policy, whether it be when layoffs occur, that the work permit holder is the first out and not the Bermudian. Expanding provisions when it comes to redundancy. So if a company is determining that it wants to make a Bermudian redundancy, it now would have to pay more for Bermudians and non-Bermudians who are working in the same positions, and one makes more than the other with no justifiable means as to why that occurs. We're going to ensure that we are striving equal work for equal pay in the Employment Act. We will continue with a robust plan, and part of our economic development strategy is investing in people. A robust plan to ensure we continue to provide scholarships, we continue to provide training and development for Bermudians so that they can prepare themselves and be equipped to be contributing to our world of work. The other thing is you see the changes that we're making with our education system as it pertains to signature schools, is getting people acquainted with occupational categories at a much earlier age on their development continuum. All of these changes combined will help to better position Bermudians for a sustainable work life.
Yeah, for the future, and that's so important. Because I know a lot of people talk about just trades, get them into the trades and so forth, but it's broader than that. And I think as long as we're equipping the students to come back and to be able to enter the workforce, and be skilled and ready. Go ahead. And I know skill training is big in this policy as well.
The important thing about this paper is it's a consultation paper. And so we have a number of suggestions or proposals that we believe we would like the public to consider, but it doesn't stop the public from also providing additional proposals for the government to consider. And I am very much open to the opinions of the members of the public, and having a better understanding of some of their challenges and what some of their solutions may be.
And it's an easy read, folks. It looks like 18 pages, but it's a real easy read. It is on www.forum.gov.bm. We'll put that on the screen. I think the consultation process ends April
15th.
Okay, so get on it. It's an easy read, and I do like some of the suggestions or recommendations that are in here. I read one of them and I was like, I wanted to put a star next to it. I won't tell you which one it is, but I was like, yeah, we need that. But we really do need to do whatever we can to strengthen and protect our Bermudians, our labor, and as well invite and welcome the guest workers to come.
Yeah. What I've identified, it has to be a balance, and it has to be appropriate balance. And so that's what the paper seeks to do. It seeks to provide balance. It seeks to address some of the challenges that our domestic population, our Bermudian population are experiencing, but also take into consideration the feedback that we have received from industry as it pertains to their ability to retain top talent and key guest workers, and mixing those considerations to ensure that we have a suite of solutions that allows us to address the challenge that we're faced with, and that is the challenge of a strong demographic shift. That cannot be underpinned. Doing nothing is detrimental for the entire country. And so we're not 100% fixed on the solutions that we will implement, but I would say we will be moving forward with solutions, because doing nothing will be irresponsible.
Right. And you told me, I asked you about time. Will some of this, the consultation ends on the 15th. Will we see some of these possible recommendations put in place?
Yes, in this fiscal period, these changes are slated to take place.
Oh, good.
If the consultation supports the proposals in the paper, as well as we may make additional changes based off the feedback that we receive.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, Minister, and I appreciate you saying about putting that balance and making sure it's a balance for all of us being retained in the local workforce.
Yes.
All right, go to www.forum.gov.bm and make your voice heard. Say something, read it, and say something. Thanks again. You've been watching This Week in Government.